apparently we know who's drawing what in TV ratings. And that's actually where I was going with the topic originally, although he's a rainmaker. Listen to the rhythm of the falling rain. Money's falling from the fucking sky. 'Cause CM Punk got canned at his previous job, and Tony Khan looks like a snob. If he increased the quarter from previous quarter, and then it had a drop concurrent in the post quarter of his appearance on Raw by the entire Collision audience now. That was just his increase of the quarter hours. At a time where, now correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, because you keep up with the business. You know me, I'm big picture. I'm not worried. I'm an old hippie. I'm not worried about the financial gain. But they did the SmackDown deal, right?
What does that mean? They did the SmackDown deal.
Who
did what to who?
The WWE has done the TV rights deal for SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown in 2024 will be going from Fox to the USA Network, the longtime home of Monday Night Raw, and for the last few years, NXT.
Yeah, and they did the NXT deal, right?
Right. NXT, which a lot of people thought was going to be packaged with Raw, ended up being not sold off, but worked on separately, and will be
banished.
Well, no, not banished, but we'll be
chained in the bowels of a slave ship.
We'll be going to, well, I guess we could still, in a sense, call network TV, syndicated TV, but it will be going to the CW, so it'll be in a ton of new markets and potentially available to a whole lot more people.
Right. But there's one more deal that they ain't done yet, right? The Raw deal. And guess who's not going to get a Raw deal on the Raw deal? Because as soon as that's the only one they've got left to do. And wouldn't you know who won the pony, ladies and gentlemen? CM Punk not only makes his triumphant return to the company, but appears on Raw to make his decision on what the fuck's going on. Doesn't go on at fucking 5 minutes to goddamn midnight or whatever is the first one. And signs with Raw and does a goddamn monster fucking ratings jump for the quarter against two, apparently, of the professional ball games that were on the other night. And right when they're doing the negotiations, this makes perfect fucking sense. These people are playing 3D chess when Tony Khan is still got Tinker Toys. And he's going to make them a fucking, we're talking tens of millions of dollars difference now, maybe, if he can pop these numbers, getting the shit people want to see, to get the attention he's continuing to get, positive, negative, it makes no difference. When he goes to Mindy's Bakery, I'm surprised they don't have goddamn people debating the fucking order. No, that motherfucker, he's going to order those goddamn bran muffins. Well, what if he likes the bran muffins? What's the matter with the bran? And he's Captain Queeg to some people, and he's goddamn Mother Teresa to other people, but they pay attention. So the point is now this continues to get even more entertaining to me, that the guy that would still be under contract to AEW and appearing on their television programs and pay-per-views, major motion pictures and sitcoms, baby, is now literally making the difference in tens of millions of dollars in revenue to the company that they allowed him to just walk out and go to.
But come on, let's be fair. If the Bucks had not re-signed, or if Jungle Boy had been released and they had ended up here at the same time doing the same kind of things, it would have been just as big, because they're just as big of stars as...
They're just as big of paws.
Yeah, a CM Punk. But Jim, we'll get to the Raw ratings in a moment, but I want to bring this up to you because it's interesting. You know, a lot of people said that they could see Warner Discovery becoming interested because of the, I guess, previous comments attributed to David Zaslav that he was one Bill Phil, and certainly we've seen what Collision has settled into without one Bill Phil, and we've seen all the general AEW issues. Then word came out that no, they're not going to be talking to Raw. They turned down Raw they turned down Nick Khan when he wanted to talk to them earlier this year, was the word.
Whose word is that?
Well, that's some of the reports going around. I don't have anything in front of me, but I've seen those reports. And then Dave Meltzer yesterday tweeted out, things are changing greatly. Let's just say, things changed greatly with Raw negotiations from a few weeks ago. And Punk is a huge part of the selling point.
So Uncle Dave makes this admission in public, if you will?
Well, again, first of all, it's a very vague tweet saying nothing. I don't know why you would do that unless you're just really hopped up for social media engagement. Say something or say nothing, not things are changing greatly.
I think he knows something's happening, and he doesn't either know what or even want to say what or admit to what, but he has to say that something's happening, because later on when something happens and everybody knows about it, they'll say, well, Uncle Dave didn't know anything was happening.
Yeah, well, let's see, because word went around about a week and a half ago that the deal was done. So if all of a sudden it's a different deal or they're doing something different, it's going to be very interesting here. But CM Punk, if you're a network, if you're a major company that owns a network, whatever it may be, and you see everything that WWE can present to you, which is the same shit they're presenting to the audience at home. Look at the social media engagements. Look at how big the video was on YouTube. Look at how big it was on TikTok, on every single social media platform. And this guy's going to be the star of this show. 3 hours. Here's how much we were getting. Here's how much of a bump we think we deserve.
But wait a minute, don't even gloss over the fact that it's already a program that draws at least double the amount of viewers that the existing program that they have draws. And two of the people drawing that, and potentially more, are people that were on their network within the last 2 fucking years.
Oh my God, can you imagine if they brought Raw to Warner Discovery and then they bring back for season 2 Roads to the Top? When we last left you.
It would be Roads to the Moon. They'd have to bring the robot back. I wonder if Bob May is still doing voiceover work to do the robot, and there's Cody is obviously
Danger.
John Robinson.
Danger, Brandy.
And Brandy is June. Or not June Lockhart.
June Lockhart was a real name, Jim.
June Lockhart. It's Maureen.
Yes.
Or Jim, well, she'd probably want to be June Robinson. And they could bring back Marco Stunt to be Will. Because he's an annoying little brat that always fucking gets at everybody's fucking craw.
You really have gone over the edge. Now you're recommending they bring back Marco Stunt for this project? That's how much you want to see this project take off. Well, we'll see what happens. That would be amazing, though, if you really think about, like, beyond AEW, WWE, just the idea that this station, if they ever did go with WWE Raw, they would have Punk and Cody Rhodes in their promos on that station for 2 different programs within, like, 3 years.
Well, and let's back up on this for a second before we go anywhere else. It's your show. I will follow you wherever you may lead. But just focus on being, whether David Zaslav, he's the head of the whole shooting match, as they say, right? The whole kit and caboodle.
Yes, for now.
But he's not even the programming guy. He's the boss. So, because programming people are important, but the boss is more important than the programming people. He has a wrestling program, and he's not the one that was there when they made the deal, remember? He's the new boss. Maybe not same as the old boss.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
Because this is one of the things I always found funny, and now it's worth talking about at this very moment. The story early on was that Tony Khan was just suddenly inspired by things in Japan that he said, gosh darn it, I'm going to take my inheritance that my dad's just throwing at me, and I'm going to lose it all on a wrestling company. No, I'm going to start a wrestling company because I have a relationship with someone from the network who knows me, and they didn't know about the history of wrestling there, and I told them, and they gave me a deal.
He ran into him at a cocktail party or some type of business function for their football and broadcasting and various enterprises that they were in.
Everything, makes sense, but then they started saying this part out loud. very early on. And this company will become huge once we get a television rights renewal from this same company that we're doing business with. They bet their whole business on a major rights renewal. That's what Tony was selling to Dave Meltzer.
Well, remember, at first they signed a deal where put us on the air and the network would pay for the production cost because Tony had unlimited funds to pay the wrestlers and blah, 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 blah. And then a few months in, because he did come up with a company because people are saying, oh, because of the tremendous success. No, because he actually came up with a company, which when they made the original deal did not even exist. Then they said, okay, we'll pay you a rights fee because now we know you can actually do this shit. You can give us a program. And then they started paying the rights fee, and now they're up for renewal. So this will be technically the third deal that they've had with these people. And the point is, over that 4 years, this guy was not the guy that was in charge then. He was not the guy that Tony originally talked to. They've inherited this already. That's correct, I'm assuming. Right? The way I remember it.
Right.
So this guy now says, wait a minute, we got a wrestling program on our network where two of the wrestlers that we've had go to the goddamn WWE and they're drawing huge numbers at everything they fucking do and they're featured in main events. What the fuck? Why don't we go for, if we're going to have wrestling, why don't we have that shit?
Well, here's a question for you. If you were a businessman, WWE or no WWE, would you bet long-term on Tony Khan? If you're dealing with all sorts of people in the entertainment industry and you have a company that's less popular than it was a few years ago, draws smaller numbers than they did a few years ago, constantly has drama, their top stars leave. Whenever
they say fuck a lot on TV.
Yeah, well, you want to talk about fuck? Whenever the fucking Endeavor guys are having lunch all over town, they're talking about what a shit show it is over at AEW. Do you want to deal with that? Or now again, they, as everyone believes at this point, they own a piece. It's a non-voting share, but if it's 30% and they're getting 30% of the profits, it can't be that because there are no profits.
Jerry, there are no profits, Jerry. There are no profits.
Yeah, so they're getting 30% of the revenues. Yeah, and we'll talk later on about, because there's been a whole bunch of stuff about the AEW financials rumored out there. I mean, nothing's not rumored, but reported on without any actual solid financial facts.
Reported on without any actual knowledge of the product. Speculated and extrapolated on by what's been reported and uttered by some people's own chicken lips is basically what we've got.
But to go back to this, CM Punk has made a difference already in merch. He's the biggest merch seller there so far, and you would expect that going in there and, everything that's happening. He's already now been announced for 2 house shows, big ones at the end of the year at the Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. So they're doing that for a reason, and I'm sure he's going to move some tickets. We already know what he's done for their social media, for their YouTube, for their television ratings. Again, if you've done business with him and you didn't have a problem with him, and you see everyone else did, and then you look at all these results, WWE has an incredible sales package to bring all over town. AEW doesn't.
And Brian, if only somebody could have foreseen this chain of events happening, that if Punk was to somehow be allowed to get away from AEW, that he could easily walk right into Survivor Series in Chicago.
No, they'll never take him back. He's evil and mean.
Because he would immediately be pushed into the main event spot because of the potential matchups and the new ownership. They're trying to maximize revenues. Who could have possibly conceived something like this that would make so much sense?
They would never do it. He hit $2 and scared Jungle Boy.
Who in the world could have put things like this on tape, or even whatever we put it on now in this modern age, and broadcast it to the world for months before it actually happened because it made fucking sense?
He's a liar. He lied about his dog's teeth. Don't hire him. He'll kill the company.
Don't you bring Larry into this. Goddamn you. I will browbeat you forever if you bring Larry into this.
Larry's not even real. It was a lie.
I love Larry. He is too real. He sent Harley a Christmas card.
You can't trust Punk around the women or the men. You can't have him there. He's dangerous.
He's around all of them in the WWE, and so far he's neither punched anyone nor assaulted anyone, nor apparently, as far as we know, been rude to anyone, except for Seth Rollins.
He's a danger to society and catering. Get him out. Triple H will never put up with him.
They shook hands the other day for a picture, didn't they, on the Twitter?
The AEW fans still holding on to the dream are the most delusional fans out there right now. There's still fans holding on to the dream. And don't worry, the Bucks will be back soon to save the company. Don't worry. But keep ignoring reality.
You know what? I'll be the voice of reason for once. I told you I wasn't taking shit seriously today, so that's why I'm going to be the voice of reason. You just painted a large group with the same brush. You said the AEW fans. There are the AEW fans that like the fucking, gymnastics exhibition with the saber dance behind it on the Ed Sullivan Show, where they're all fucking tumbling in unison with each other. But there are some fans that just wanted to see something else besides the WWE, which, of course, even now that they're better, we still would like to see a little faster moving product. But it's not but the problem is this was never going to be it. Because, again, Tony couldn't accept that if he funded something that professionals were in charge of and professionals made professional decisions about professional talent, instead of who was, the fucking, what do they call it across the pond? The fucking queen's tits, or one of those expressions on the indies at that particular point in time, and a long-term plan and an infrastructure in place in all facets before and behind the camera that involved people with experience on not only wrestling, but how to broadcast a goddamn television and produce a wrestling program, that didn't have to listen to Tony Khan's delusions that he learned in his E-Fed or whatever when he was a teenager with the other two guys that he's talked about. So I'm not maligning him. I'm reporting his biography from his own lips. That's the problem. That's what I knew from the start. Why get invested in this goddamn thing? Because ultimately, it's going to fall apart like all these other. This has taken a lot longer because hundreds of millions of dollars goes a long way. I know that's a surprise. But remember the fucking guy that won the lottery in South Carolina? He was a 19-year-old kid living with his mom. And he won like, I don't know how many $1 million. And he goddamn went to start a fucking women's wrestling league. Wrestlicious. And he even had Jimmy Hart working for him.
It's Wrestlicious, baby.
And they did television tapings and everything. And guess where he was when he was 21 years old, Brian?
Broke?
And living with his mother. But it's just...
now that's Wrestlicious.
That was their commercials. Yeah.
Well, what's
Tony Khan could have been the savior of wrestling if he'd have assembled a goddamn group of about 10 people in various positions with experience in the wrestling business. Say, here is unlimited money, and I can get you on TBS television. Put this together for me. Pick a goddamn roster. Let's see who we can buy out or accumulate. What is the plan for the style that we're going to be presenting? What is the goddamn thing that can make us different from the WWE, and we can stay away from their strengths and focus on their weaknesses? Or something like that. But instead, he went to his childhood notebooks and brought all that to life with every indie darling that the people that he was most fascinated by went to school with or rode up and down the road with.